Welcome everyone. I'm Terry and this is my lab. For this project, my wife asked me to make a Christmas tree stand to add some height to our Christmas tree and make it harder for our dog to knock off Christmas ornaments. She described what she wanted and I went to Pinterest for ideas. My initial thoughts after looking at Pinterest was stability and power. Since we're raising the height of the tree, we're also raising the center of gravity for the tree. We have a lot of Christmas ornaments that have sentimental value and in some cases are 20 to 40 years old. I didn't want to make it easier to knock over the tree by making a light Christmas tree box. Secondly is power. Out of all the ideas I saw on Pinterest, none of them accounted for powering Christmas tree lights or doing anything with cable management. So I added power management to the goals as well. I started assembling the frame for the stand. I'm using 2x4 lumber for the stand to add some weight for stability. The top and bottom squares of the frame are 22.5 inches long, so I can have overlapping corners and use pocket holes to join them together. The interior size will be 21 inches by 21 inches, which is the diameter of the stand for my Christmas tree. To assemble the middle section, I cut 8 pieces of 2x4 lumber at 7 inches long. The intended overall height is 16 inches, so 7 inches plus the width of the frame pieces leaves just enough space for feet at the bottom. I installed the middle sections in the corners of each side, so mounting the side panels would be the same on all sides. I used a lot of pocket holes in this build, which isn't a problem in my mind since no one's going to see them. To be honest, I'm just winging this build with a couple of 8-foot 2x4s and extra trim pieces I had laying around. For the supports for the bottom panel and the top panel, I just used some more 2x4 lumber cut at 1.5 inches for the bottom and drilled some more pocket holes to attach them. For the platform piece itself, I took a 2x4 foot 1/2 inch sheet of plywood and cut it down to size. For the bottom, I screwed the platform directly into the supports using wood screws. For the top, I wanted to add a little bit more support to hold the weight of the Christmas tree. I cut 2x4 lumber at 3.5 inches to make it a square and screwed it into the frame using, you guessed it, more pocket screws. While doing research on Pinterest was none of the Christmas tree boxes had any power management. I picked up a retractable extension cord with 4 power outlets built into it and built it into the bottom panel. I traced out the feet of the unit so it sits in the box and cut a hole out for the cord to go through. Then I cut a hole in the middle of the top panel to make it easy to remove and feed the power cord for the lights through. This wasn't filmed, but I did take a router and made the hole a little bit wider so my hand could fit through the hole in the event I have to plug something else in while the tree is on top of it. Each side's dimensions are 22.5 by 16 inches. So after playing around with some of the trim I had, I just used some 1x6 pieces and then used an extra board as a spacer. Mathematically, this almost works out perfectly. Technically, the gap in the middle is slightly smaller than the rest of them, but it is not noticeable if you're not looking for it. Since everything is square and symmetrical, I was able to cut all the trim pieces at the same time. I attached the top pieces with brad nails first, installed the feet, and then afterwards I came back and installed the bottom trim. Don't worry about that nail that protruded out in the corner, I fixed that as well. To make the feet, I took 2x4 lumber and cut it at 3.5 inches to make a square. Then I used a round over bit to round all the edges and drilled the holes to countersink the screws. Right now this Christmas tree stand will be used on carpet, but if it ends up on our hardwood, I'll add some felt or rubber feet to the bottom. Either way, I don't have to worry about the screw heads snagging on the carpet or the hardwood. I screwed the feet into the bottom of the frame using wood screws. After the feet were attached, I added the bottom trim to this Christmas tree stand with brad nails as well to finish the look. Well, I'm super happy with the way this came out, considering I was making it up as I went. It's definitely a solid piece that will not tip over. I'm Terry, and this is my lab. If you like this video, please consider subscribing. If you're curious about any of the products I use, they are in the build links in the description below.